Good afternoon. We're back with more Lord of the Rings LCG, and today is Helm's Deep on Nightmare difficulty. This is a fun quest, one of my favorites in the game. It's a very unique quest. It's a quest where we're on defensive mode against Isengard, and the task is just to last 8 turns and then kill the remaining enemies. And I'm going to choose to shuffle Poison Councils into my deck because that gives me a free turn in the beginning in order to get set up, and that's very important for Outlands to have that. So when the 1B is revealed, I can choose an ally that matches the sphere of one of my heroes and put it into play. So I'll choose Forlong. And then we get a free turn. Got Steward of Gondor, so that's good. Can get out most of the rest of my hand. Get out the Warriors of Lossarnach. The Knight of the Swan for sure. And then the priority will likely be Hunter of Lamedon, or possibly Anfalas Herdsman if I don't have enough resources left for everything, which I don't. So it'll be Knight of the Swan and Anfalas Herdsman, and the Hunter of Lamedon will head for the discard pile. There's no questing or combat in this free turn, this free phase, and at the end of the round we advance to phase 2, which is going to bring the defensive Helm's Deep into play, and the Deeping Wall will be the active location, and we got to reveal one other encounter card, also one Soldier of Isengard. We'll start in the staging area. So let's see what the card is, and it's going to be a Devilry of Saruman, which is going to place 3 progress on the current quest. Well, there isn't a current quest. We're on phase 2A, which is when the encounter card is revealed, and it's after that that we switch to phase 2B. So that's a good time to get the Devilry of Saruman, because it is like the only time in the game when you can get it that it doesn't do anything. And that's a pretty nasty card for the Outlands deck because it blanks all the character boxes. Generally speaking, this encounter deck has a few ways to disrupt the player's attempts to halt the enemy's progress. Devilry of Saruman is one of them. Culver Wall, the location, is another one. Those are pretty nasty ones, and they're very thematic. I love the way this quest is designed. It's a very, very thematic quest. Each round after we quest, we place 1 progress on the defensive Helm's Deep, and when we get to 8, we'll be able to move on to phase 5. So we get either remove a token from defensive Helm's Deep or reveal 2 encounter cards, and there aren't any tokens on defensive Helm's Deep to reveal, so we're going to have to reveal 2 encounter cards. It's a bit of a rough start. One of them is just exhaust a character, that's not so bad, and the other is a Warrior of Dunland, so all things considered, could have been much worse. That's not a terrible result. The Warrior of Dunland is going to make an attack as soon as he's revealed, and that's going to go on Forlong. Till the end of the round, defending character cannot ready, that's fine. And we get 1 progress on the defensive Helm's Deep. We also have to give 2 archery damage for the archers in the staging area. And then we can move on to round 2. We have to place 2 progress on Assault on Helm's Deep at the end of the round, which bypasses the active location. So, hoping for an Ethir Swordsman, and there is one. Forlong will be in his final form. Going to transfer a resource from Denethor to Hirluin with Denethor's ability. And we're going to play Very Good Tale, play Wealth of Gondor. I think there actually is a Hunter of Lamedon in the discard pile I can grab with Men of the West. So I'll do that. And I'll use Hunter of Lamedon's response, but it comes up blank. So we'll play Very Good Tale with Forlong and one of the Warriors of Lossarnach, most likely. And it grabs Faramir, so that's great. Getting well on our way to a strong setup. Forlong and ready at the beginning of the quest phase, so Defensive Helm's Deep adds 1 threat for each token on it, so it's going to escalate the amount of threat in the staging area by 1 each round at least. Locations tend to build up in the staging area as well. I don't have any way to clear them with this deck. So Scaling Ladders is going to add 1 threat per enemy, and it surges into a Hornburg wall. So it's going to be 7, 11, 12, 13, 14 in the staging area to my 14 willpower, so no progress for the enemy here, and I get to add another token to the Defensive Helm's Deep. I'll probably engage one of these enemies so that they don't place 2 progress on Assault on Helm's Deep at the end of each round. It's really, really difficult to win the game having not advanced past Phase 2. In fact, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's possible. It would be possible, I think, but very, very difficult. Typically, you'll win in Phase 3 or 4. So I am going to engage this Warrior of Dunland. I don't want him to just destroy a character because I'll have to put 3 progress on the quest. The Deeping Wall gives my heroes +1 shield, so Denethor is just going to take 1 damage here. And then I can use my characters to take him out. He does have toughness of 1, so I need 7 to take him out instead of 6. He has toughness of 1 thanks to the Hornburg Wall. I had to place 2 archery damage there. That's the damage on Aragorn, and now I need 7 damage to take out this character, so that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. That will take out the Warrior of Dunland. And then 1 progress on Assault on Helm's Deep at the end of the round. And we're on to the next round. Not very good draws here, just 2 Errand-riders. I guess they'll be useful to soak up some archery damage. I'm trying to, as much as possible, not put archery damage on my Outlands allies because of Devilry of Sauron. Devilry of Sauron blanks all the characters' text boxes, which means it will blank Anfalas Herdsman's buff of +1 hit points, and so 1 damage on any of my Outlands characters would kill them if Devilry of Sauron comes out. So I want to, as much as possible, put the archery damage on characters that won't die if Devilry of Sauron should come out. Get a Deeping Wall, that's fine. Questing for 14, so not going to take any threat here. We've got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 against. So 1 more progress on the Defensive Helm's Deep. 1 more archery damage, and we can move on to the next round. I'm keeping the Soldier of Isengard in the staging area because if I don't have an enemy in the staging area, I have to go grab one because of Assault on Helm's Deep, or I have to reveal an extra encounter card, I think it is, or something like that. So I'd rather just leave the Soldier of Isengard there. And very good sequence of grabbing Hunters of Lamedon, Hunter of Lamedon, with the Hunter of Lamedon's response. And then Ethir Swordsman and a Knight of the Swan also come out. So a pretty strong setup now. And there's Deeping Colver. That's one of the encounter deck's mechanisms for advancing the quest. If you have a strong setup, it increases threat by 1 for each ally, so that's going to increase the enemy's threat enough to clear Phase 2B. Which is a very thematic way for the enemy to advance past the Assault on Helm's Deep stage. So the enemy will clear the Deeping Wall, which raises my threat by 4. And they will advance to Phase 3B, which brings Helm's Gate into the staging area and makes it the active location. So I'm not even going to be able to clear the Deeping Colver until I clear the until the enemy clears the active location, and then I can travel there. And while Helm's Gate is the active location, if I don't have an enemy engaged with me, I have to reveal an extra encounter card in the staging area. So I'm going to engage the Soldier of Isengard at this point and keep him engaged with me so that I don't have to deal extra encounter cards with Helm's Gate. Do make another progress on the defense of Helm's Deep. Got another damage on Aragorn for the archery damage. And the Soldier of Isengard will attack Forlong. Attacking enemy makes an additional attack after this one. We'll put that on Hirluin. And I briefly think about taking this enemy out, but then I realize, oh no, I don't want to do that because it'll mean additional encounter cards from Helm's Gate. So I'll just leave him there, deal with his archery damage and his attack each round. And we will move on to the next round. Still haven't seen Poisoned Councils yet. It's somewhere in the deck. Got plenty of resources here, so I can go ahead and grab the last Ethir Swordsman. Got Knight of the Swan, and I'll use 3 resources for the secondary function. Poisoned Councils was all the way on the bottom of the deck. That's great. See where it goes now. Each of these allies that I'm playing is going to add 1 threat to the Deeping Colvert. But that's fine. This Outlands deck can put up so much willpower that it doesn't matter. So I've got 19 allies, which means, or 18 allies, which means an additional 19 threat is added. That Deeping Colvert is at 19 threat. Gonberry Gone would be pretty good against that if it was the active location. So I'm questing for 34. Cards another Deeping Wall. So 15 plus 19 is 34. No threat, no progress. And after resolving the quest, I need to reveal another encounter card because of stage 3B. Since no progress was made by the enemy, and it's going to be Host of Isengard. I can leave that there for the moment. It does add 1 progress at the end of the round. So Soldier of Isengard is going to get an attack. Got 1 archery damage to deal with. I'll put that on Erestor. Attacking enemy gets +1, so he's going to be up to 5. Forlong's got shields of 4, but there's only 1 Anfalas Herdsman on the table right now, so that is going to kill Forlong. And that will add 1 progress to the quest for the Soldier of Isengard and 1 more for the Shadow card. Not going to kill the Soldier of Isengard, and then I have to add 1 progress to the quest at the end of the round for Host of Isengard. So it should be at 3 now. And I'll see what there is to see with Heed the Dream. Just grab Envoy of Pelargir here. And then I'm going to use the secondary function. Well, first I'm going to check if there's anything to grab with Men of the West. I'm going to use the secondary function of Heed the Dream to get the last Outlands ally out of the deck. That's going to add additional threat to the staging area because of the Deeping Colvert. So I'm just doing the math to see how much I need to quest for. It's something like 40 something, I think. I realize at this point I could grab Forlong first, since he died, so I'll do that. Questing for 43. And I actually miscounted. I should have quested for 47, but I forgot to account for whatever threat the encounter card would bring. I usually give it credit for 4 threat. So I would have just taken 1 progress here, but since I forgot, I'm taking 5. That's going to clear the Helm's Gate for the enemy. And I'm just counting again and thinking, where did I go wrong? Because the total was not what I expected. But in the end, I realized I forgot to account for the encounter card. But clearing Helm's Gate out isn't the worst thing. It's gonna mean I don't need an additional encounter card. There should be 5 on stage 3B, not 4. I forgot 1 from the Host of Isengard. That's going to clear the Deeping Colvera out and mean I don't need to keep an enemy engaged with me anymore, since Helm's Gate isn't the active location anymore. Going to engage the Host of Isengard voluntarily. We are at 6 on the Defense of Helm's Deep now, and in a very stable board state. Host of Isengard is going to attack a chump blocker. And the Shadow card is no problem. And then the Soldier of Isengard is going to attack Forlong. So, should have no problem putting out enough damage to kill both of these enemies. I'm just checking to make sure I put a progress on the Host of Isengard this round, and thus didn't forget to add another encounter card to the staging area. So, we're finally free of enemies in the staging area. And just need to defend for 2 more rounds. So I'm going to quest for enough to still be okay if I should get another Deeping Colvera. So just need to do some math here to figure out how much to quest for. Gonna quest for 20 something in overkill to make sure I count for Deeping Colvera. I'm not sure what's going to happen if Devilry of Saruman comes out. That's gonna blank the text boxes on the Ethir Swordsman so that they won't contribute their threat bonuses or their willpower bonuses to the allies. But I'm at least going to account for Deeping Colvera and quest for 20 something more than I'll need, so that if the Deeping Colvera comes out again, I won't immediately have to progress into Phase 4. And the card's going to be each location in the staging area gains 1 archery or remove 1 token from Defense of Helm's Deep. We'll do the archery. And we need to grab another card at the end of the quest phase after resolution for the Hosts of Isengard Stage 3B, since no progress was placed on the quest this round. The quest should have 5 tokens once again instead of 4, but no problem. Just need to survive one more round. The location is the Glittering Caves, a location that can't be traveled to unless you're in stage 4. Not that we would need to. If I did clear Deeping Colvera, I would travel to one of the Deeping Walls. So I'm just checking to make sure I didn't forget anything, and then we're going to progress into the most likely the final round. And there is Poison Councils at the very bottom of the deck. That's pretty lucky. And it makes me discard all the other cards in my hand, which isn't going to matter at all. And we can go ahead and just quest for about 50 something, just to make sure that I count for all the threat in the staging area, all the threat that could come out from Deeping Colvera, and get the 8th token placed here. So each enemy is going to get +1 threat, and we get a Warrior of Dunland. So we've got way more than enough willpower to cover the quest. Warrior of Dunland is going to get an immediate attack, and then the 8th token will be placed on the quest and will advance to stage 5, which means one more enemy added to the staging area. And then all we need to do is clear the enemies, and that will end the game. So it's going to be a Isengard Uruk. It's added, not revealed, so we don't do the 3 damage. Skip the quest phase from now on, so the Warrior of Dunland should get an immediate attack. We're going to do that here. Then we have 2 attacks from the enemies, Warrior of Dunland and Isengard Uruk. And then I can do my damage and end the game. Got 3 archery damage to deal with. I don't care if it goes on Outlands allies now. There's no chance of Devilry of Saruman coming out since we skipped the quest phase now. So Forlong takes damage, and the Shadow card gives an additional attack, which is going to deal 2 damage to the Hunter of Lamedon. Then the Isengard Uruk will get an attack. I'll put that on Denethor. I don't particularly care if he dies at this point. But he lives, and then I've got more than enough damage, even with the +1 toughness from Hornburg Wall in the staging area, to take out these enemies. And if I needed to, I could use Aragorn's resources to ready up heroes. 2 resources from Aragorn will ready a hero, with no restriction on the number of times you do that each round. So, final 2 enemies are down, and that will end the game. This is one of my favorite quests in the game. I enjoy this quest quite a bit, and I recommend playing it if possible. I don't remember exactly what player cards come in this expansion, but the quest, the Helm's Deep, is very well done, very thematic, and I really enjoy it. So, thank you for watching.